Time too, it's amazing. You like that one, huh? I'll say. All right, we have the August 14th meeting of the Conservation Commission. We'll salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
No naps. We catch you every meeting, you know.
All right, first is a septic repair for Bittersweet Restaurant at 438 Main Road.
Chairman, I guess we're going to have to pass over to Mr. Potter arrives. So
All right.
here at the moment.
Scott Peffinger, notice of intent 173A, Cabins Neck Road, construct deck, porch, existing house, on existing house, construct shed and riverfront, buffer zone, coastal bank, and flood zone. Anybody here for that hearing?
Yes.
All right, come on up.
We're going to need the green cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll take those, sir.
So you return receipts. Here's the certified sheet.
All right. Thank you.
They're all there except for Mr. Arnold, the very first one there, Arnold.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's not, they're all ours, so they're returned.
All right. Do you have, do you want to put a...
Yeah, I'll do it for him.
But do you have a, you can sit down.
Yes, I have it.
You know, put this one, put this, here's mine, if you want. Yeah.
You can pass that on, Mr. Chairman.
West side?
I'm on the west side.
Mr. Chairman, Scott Fenninger, 173A Cadman's Neck Road. This is a notice of intent application. Boucher and Associates are the engineer of the record. Report date is August 9th, 2018. The file number for this project has not been granted yet. It's pending. Agents required to be contacted, none. Status or date of the on-site was on August 9th, 2018 as well. Description of the work, the owner has applied to add 2 power-supported decks, a 12x6 shed, and a front porch. Work is within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland, flood zone, and within 15 foot to 20 feet of the coastal bank. The work is also within the riverfront area. This work, however, would fall under the exempt minor activities. It allows a conversion of lawn to uses accessory to residential structures as long as the work is greater than 50 feet away from mean high water. In this case, it is. Existing home has a lawn, you can see in the photo, with a retaining wall, and all work is within those maintained areas. Wetland area exists over the bank as the property sits on the edge close to the tidal inlet along Cadman's Neck. So basically, it's upland where he resides. The work will not adversely affect this resource area and can be permitted with standard conditions. So recommendations, the Westport Conservation Commission should approve the proposed decks, porch, and shed pending receipt of the file number with standard conditions.
Yeah, I did receive the file number late today.
Thank
I'll
you.
copy that if you'd like.
You can. I looked this at 4 o'clock. If you can give me the number, I know it's SE 802388.
My copy for you, you can have that.
Beautiful. 2389. Thank you. And there are no adverse comments, Mr. Chairman. So you render a decision tonight, you can actually negate the pending file number concerns. That's all, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. So... All right. Any questions or comments from the table?
No.
Any questions from the audience? No. All right, now to look for a motion, please.
Motion to approve with the file number
It's standard
and
conditions.
standard conditions.
Second. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimous there.
Standard conditions being erosion controls, any disturbed soil be seeded immediately after construction, those guidelines.
So we do that.
Okay. We'll be issuing you the order, and are you going to be in town, or would you like us to mail it?
You can, well, it depends on, let's see, when you mail it.
Why don't you mail it to you?
Go back and forth.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Great.
How's that with Creek doing there?
Looks okay.
Cleaned it out.
Yeah.
Cleaned it out maybe 7 or 8 years ago. We started flowing there.
Yeah, it looks like it's flowing okay.
Yeah.
The one we go down the
In the holiday, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, water, looks like water flowing.
All right, Lenny, we're gonna do, back to you. You all set, sir? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Take care, Scott.
Septic repair for Bittersweet Restaurant, 438 Main Road. We started on time tonight, Lenny, and you were the first victim.
Oh, we're ready.
You can pass this down. That's a big septic.
Glenn Otto, Westport Environmental. I'm here on behalf of Bittersweet Restaurant at 438 Main Road. This is the existing restaurant. Main Road's out here. There's a various assortment of septic tanks and pump chambers that won't change. The leaching field, as it is now, this is essentially within the same confines of the existing leaching field, which has to be removed. The wetlands line starts at flag 99 here and goes all the way to 109 here. This is an old foundation, chicken house foundation, it's still there. I marked it just for references. Material will be taken and removed and taken away and replaced with clean sandy gravel. We are restricted to the location due to there are two public water supplies here. One protected radius is right here at the edge, and another was a little further inside. We have to change the line from the pump chamber to this system. This is a pressure dose system now. From here, essentially, it was going to be the closest point, 51 feet to wetlands here. Or we are within 100 feet. There's no change in grade. The grade will end up being as it is now. So that's the situation.
It's all within the parking lot?
All in the parking lot. Parking lot comes all the way down here, and it goes across here, and actually it comes out a little bit further to the back this way.
All right, thanks, Lenny.
Mr. Chairman, members, this is Bittersweet Restaurant, 438 Main Road. This is a request for determination. Westport Environmental Design is the engineer of record. Report date is August 9th, 2018. The site visit was also on August 9th, 2018. The description of the work. The Bittersweet Restaurant has filed a request for determination to install a septic system within the existing location. Current leaching area is in the middle of the parking area. Old system will be excavated and removed. New leaching area will be installed in the same location. Work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to a wetland area. The leaching field being approximately 50 feet from that BBW. The new leaching area will be installed in the same location. The erosion controls will be staked along the edge of the work. The new force main will be connected to the tanks located adjacent to the restaurant. Resource area to be impacted is the buffer zone. Recommendations: Westport Conservation Commission should issue a negative box 3 determination for the septic repair proposed.
Any questions? If no one has a question, motion?
Move to approve a negative box 3 determination.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's unanimous. How many gallons is this thing, Lenny, out of curiosity? Pretty big, I'm assuming it's pretty big, by the size of the leach field.
It's all and all.
It's okay, I just figured you knew right now, it's no big deal.
Actually, it's 5,700 gallons a day.
That's a lot.
What's the turnaround time on a project like that?
It'll take probably a week and a half. The trick is you gotta keep the restaurant open, so when you
Yeah.
hit it, you gotta hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no slack time.
No. That was my question.
All right, thanks, Len. Okay, next we have PCD Properties, ANRAD, Lot 13, Strawberry Lane, to verify the resource areas. Any green copies?
don't need green cars in that, you don't need notified butters on that, right?
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't,
Yeah, you do.
I don't think so.
Any NOI or abbreviated resource area delineation, yes, you should notify abutters.
Well, I'll check it, but I don't know if
You didn't, okay. So.
Well,
I just did it there, a while back, and I don't know if
No, yeah, any application like that, Lane, you gotta notify abutters. The only one you don't is the request for termination.
so can we open the hearing?
What's that?
We can't open the hearing then, right?
No,
All right.
and we don't have a file number for this at this time anyways, but that'll give them a chance to notify the abutters. I can say for the record that the wetland is what was proposed and approved 10 years ago, but again, it still requires that notification.
I'll check, but I don't think so.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, Lenny. Robert Hawes, RDA 42 Boathouse Road, replace stairs landing on existing licensed structure destroyed by the winter.
Well, I see Mr. Hawes, I don't think is here, Mr. Chairman, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd like to get this off our agenda. It's a rather simple matter, if you don't mind me
No, absolutely.
taking it on. This is basically what currently is there and has been loss of this last section of stairs that went down into the water. So basically, this is the existing license application that represents what they had approved, and all they're requesting here is to replace that section of stairs. There is no increase in area or total disturbance. So this is Robert Hawes, 42 Boathouse Road. This is a request for determination. Report date is August 7, 2018. Site visit was on July 28, 2018 with the owner. The owner has a licensed boathouse with an attached deck and stairway to the water. The stair section was lost during this winter. Owner wishes to install the new stairs to replace what was lost. The work would entail replacing stringers and the stair treads. The recess areas are impacted as land under the river. Recommendations, Westport Conservation should issue a negative box 2 determination for the replacement of the stairs to the water.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I am related to the applicant, but this being very non-controversial and straightforward, I presume I can vote and give us a quorum.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan.
All right, so if there's no questions, just looking for a motion then. It's a pretty straightforward project.
That would be a negative box 2, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, correct.
Pass.
Negative box 2 determination, replacement of stairs. So Jason, you can do it.
Motion to approve, negative box 2.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
All right,
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous there. Chris, that's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we have a couple red folders here.
What's that first one?
Heritage, Messier Warren, Heritage Drive.
Yeah, Warren Messier, I issued him a letter as he cleared a lot in the old Heritage Acres development that he has on Ridge Road. There's 2 lots remaining in that cul-de-sac at the very end of it, which 2 of those lots do have wetlands in close proximity. Mr. Messier initiated clearing of those properties without any acknowledging of where that wetland may be. So he was issued a letter. He has cease and desist as it does request. He has hired Mr. Jim Walsh to be attained to flag the wetland resource areas. The difficulty in this matter is he has to do it with soils, as he has removed all the vegetation that was kind of present on the lot. So the wetland basically exists in the highway layout of Route 88 and extends up into the lot and over into the gas line, the Conklin gas line, which crosses 88 in that area of town. So he has responded to me, as I mentioned, so just for reference to the board, we should be seeing something on that in the coming months, or weeks rather. The second one you have there, Mr. Chairman, is a...
So we don't need to vote on this, we don't do anything with this?
No, I don't think, just acknowledge that it was taken and
Okay.
that he's cooperated to date, for the record.
Okay.
The other issue, Mr. Chairman, is the issuance of an enforcement action to a Robert and Laura Hadley. They happen to be neighbors of mine on Duval Pond, so they kind of put me in a little bit of a difficult situation, I guess you could say. I have been investigating this for a couple of weeks now. I've sought as you've seen some of the emails, I've sought the advice of Mark Bartow from DEP. I've also had the Brian St. Pierre, environmental police officer, involved. I have also contacted Jim Stroud from the DCR Lakes and Ponds coordinator. He is in charge of invasive species. I had consulted with him for a number of weeks to try to determine what these species are. I only know that they are not from Massachusetts, in what she has stated to people down at my summer residence. I also know that they are from an Asian descent. Not knowing what the species were, Jim Straub couldn't advise me under his invasive species rules, and he could not remove the plants based on what he determined. I therefore spoke to the chairman about the issue and DEP, and I determined that it was best to remove these plants from the pond. Duval Pond is a great pond. It's owned by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So I actually removed these plants that were in a Commonwealth area, not from their personal property. These plants, still, she has not notified me or told me what they were. I met with her early in the summer when she started placing them in the pond. I extended my concern that what the species were. She mentioned that they're not on the list, but she wouldn't say what they were. I mentioned that you can't really be doing this activity without a permit, but if she's going to just keep it small, I didn't feel it would be a significant issue. But that's before what I later found out what her intent was. Her intent was to plant these plants in an effort to try to maintain a nutrient removal program in the pond. We've experienced some algal blooms in the past couple years associated with dry weather, associated with extremely hot summers, and you get these algal blooms. The Duval Pond is a very shallow pond. It's in a state of eutrophication, as ponds end up doing. The pond's bottom catches to the top, so some things do change. I removed these plants last Wednesday. She came in on Friday wanting her property back. So what I had done was I sent a letter to the police department and identifying the concerns and that we were going to remove these plants and make the property available for her at the highway department. I took the plants, disposed of them in a trash bag, and I deposited them in the dumpster at the highway garage. In turn, I also took photos of I have more photos, but these are the only ones that I took that I thought were relevant. You can see how I left the dumpster, the items outside the dumpster. I did not throw them in the dumpster. We have since received correspondence. Well, at that visit, she still would not tell me what the plants were. She still was extremely invasive, telling me I had no right to take her property. I understand that she has been working with a professor from UMass. I don't know who it is, but she spoke about him on numerous occasions. She also mentioned that she acquired the City of Fall River's approval as they control the water rights to most ponds in the area, but she never came to the commission. Finally, at that site visit with me, and I determined that I would give her plants back. I felt that they were her property, and that, I didn't want to be, taking something from somebody, and the state didn't really support me on destroying them, so I was a little reluctant to keep them. When I did give them back to her, she finally, as I mentioned about what one plant I thought it was, she named the plant as spinach. Well, when I gave her the plants back, I go back to the office, I realized that this plant is called water spinach. It's from Asia, and it's actually on the federal listing of invasive species. This is not even supposed to be brought into the United States, let alone Massachusetts. So I tried to make her aware of these rules. I sent her the 302 CMR Section 18, which specifically talks about aquatic invasive species. So today we got a response. I think I sent some of you, or did give you guys included in these emails, but her response to the situation today, citing that I illegally seized and destruction of her personal property was conducted without due process, that is investigation, notice, and a hearing, and without compensation and thus violative of the local, state, and federal law. Second, the activity did not require a permit as it falls under 310 CMR 10.02A, 310 CMR 10.02B, 2B, 310 CMR 10.02B, 2D, 10.02B, 2E, and 10.02B, 2G. And it was conducted in accordance with 310 CMR 10.02B1. Third, and most importantly, the active tests are improving water quality, presenting a potential solution of harmful algal blooms in Duval Pond and other watersheds which have been endemic for over a decade. She goes on to cite how the enforcement order is invalid and of citing illegal search and seizure of her property. But what I want you to specifically refer to is, first of all, the regulations she's citing in the Act are specific to a buffer zone activity. And more specifically, they do not apply at all to what she is conducting in a resource area, which is Duval Pond. Duval Pond, again, as I mentioned, is a great pond. That is a pond over 10 acres in Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as well as it is a pond under the regulations of that, as it is 10,000 square feet or larger. So the regulations cited here do not even apply. These are the minor exempt activities in the regulations. This talks about fencing of wildlife, as long as you don't impede wildlife movement. The other one is talking about the planting of native species, which this is totally not. So I am forwarded this to Mark Barteau, who in one of the correspondence with Jim Stroud, he stated that it's under the DEP and Conservation's jurisdiction in this matter, and that we should issue action, which I initiated, and that they should be held accountable if there is something that may be untruthfully planted or adversely affecting the pond. So I'm going to wait to hear back from Mark Barteau on this matter, but I just want to keep you all abreast to the matter, and also I wanted to ratify the issuance of that enforcement order at tonight's meeting to get it on the docket that it was taken action by this board, and that I don't think we need town council at this time, because I already got comments back from the state that said this letter is just, I mean, this isn't even come close to citing the regulations. So I think as an attorney herself, she should maybe be studying the actual regulations more intently, and not trying to negate the fact that all she's done here is she's brought an invasive species that's not allowed in the Commonwealth of Mass, and she negates to tell you that in this letter. So I think as an invasive species present in an environment in Westport, we have every right to remove an invasive species, whether it's on the Mass list or the federal list. This is a tropical species, so most likely it couldn't survive a winter. But we do have climate changes occurring. I'm not going to say that this couldn't occur, or maybe one of the other species, which I haven't been able to identify that she has in her possession, could also be on this list. So there's still one species she still has not stated what it actually is. So I did refer her to, if she wants to permit or try to permit this activity, that she needs to come forward and state what all the people involved, and also what species and names are being utilized in the study. And I think the commission would encourage somebody to use species that are native to Massachusetts to try to do a nutrient removal program. But they certainly wouldn't support an invasive species or a species that is not present in that actual pond environment. So therefore, I think the action the commission took was needed. I think if they were identified to her, I think the plants would either been planted or may have been brought elsewhere. So I still was told today that I should have destroyed them by Jim Stroud. So I feel like maybe I should have done that, but then again, I felt I had to return the property. So that's to keep you abreast in the matter. I hope the commission can make a motion to support that enforcement action, and I'll keep you in the loop of what continues.
All right, Chris, so just so this was removed from the pond itself, which is the property of the Commonwealth, it was not a personal property, correct?
Correct.
All right,
So,
any questions?
well,
You mentioned that she'd also put sandbags there to block the...
Those sandbags have since been removed as well.
Okay,
I have photos of the sandbags in her boat and also photos to document that they are the ones that did that action. So the state did comment on the sandbags. He felt that was also a egregious violation because you
Yeah.
could change the wetland systems and how they are flooded.
right.
Thank you, Bert, and I did forget about that section. I go,
So her intention is obviously to transplant these plants someplace.
her intention is to remove nutrients from the pond, and she strongly urged me to give the plants back because she takes the plants to the lab. Whose lab, she wouldn't say who she's working with, but apparently they take them to the lab and they remove and they can determine what the nutrient uptake of this plant is. And they can determine its I guess, its usefulness in that sense.
That's all well and good, but we can't be going rogue with our own aquaculture, environmental testing when we're using
Right.
state ponds. So would it be?
We just need to ratify the enforcement order. is what we need to do.
Yeah. But what about the fact that she's still got them? Are we confident she's not going to transplant them right back in the pond? Like, is there another action that should be taken to prevent her from planting those plants?
Jim
Yeah,
Straub
really-
left me a message today that he wasn't sure where to go from here, but he is most likely looking into a federal contact or somebody that can. I just asked Jim to contact the family from his expertise to let them know that what the commission's doing is in the wrong here, and that what they're doing is specifically violating mass general laws as well as importing a species that you're not supposed to have possession of without a federal permit. So I'm not sure if this professor that may be working with her has that permit. As I mentioned, she did not include that in anything we discussed.
Any questions on that, guys?
Yes, a couple of things. So the outstanding order also required remediation, and I think Dan had mentioned, and maybe it's in the emails, would this trigger additional monitoring even for the period of time that that was in there, all of which I support. But I don't know, the monitoring part and the remediation part are kind of open-ended in terms of timing, like when something has to be submitted, and I think normally you would end up having a dialogue with somebody about that if you were, in the normal kind of, process. And I'm not sure is this geographically within, does Fall River have any jurisdiction over this?
Fall River owns the water rights to most ponds within the jurisdictional area. Firestone back in the day acquired all the water rights, Saudi, Duval, Lake Nokichoke, numerous ponds for the milling purposes. Well, Fall River since retained those rights after that. So they just control the water rights. They don't control... By getting approval from them, just goes around the back door.
Right.
It doesn't get the actual permitting agency.
Right. Well, the reason I raised that is that I was wondering if you actually had a monitoring program, which meant that you were going to various places on the pond beyond what's right in front of her house. If that was the idea, then you might need to engage, Fall River in that, because it suggests someone would be, out on a boat somewhere, taking samples or looking at stuff. I mean, it's kind of complicated.
Right.
So, just to kind of put that into context, so it may, and I just wanted to mention one other editorial thing about the consent order, is that it has a double negative in it. I don't know if you read, it says they're not allowed not to do something, which means that they are allowed, or they're like they have to do it. You're not, it's like you're not allowed not to go to school. You have to go to school. That's what it says there. So there's a little bit of editorial tweaking there. But I guess I'm wondering whether, since her argument is that everything lacked due process, and just taking the you know, my experience on the health board, you know, which is, you know, just to, you know, ask her to attend a hearing and come in and, you know, like, let's just kind of hash it out and have the board ask her, well, you know, bring a list, you know, attend the hearing, bring a list of plants, identify the professor who was there, and, you know, if you want due process, come in and meet before the board.
I have no problem with that, Phil, at all.
You
I
know,
mean,
and-
I was just trying to keep myself out of it, in a sense.
Right,
And I saw
I
it
agree.
because neighbor, I grew up with
I
this
think
this
it-
woman
right.
and her family since I was a young kid. So
Yeah.
I was trying to have someone else, and I did tell Mark Bartow that. I was
Right.
just trying to have someone from the
Well,
outside.
you know, yeah.
And then have them come and say, whoa, what are you doing? You can't do this. And
Right.
then they would hear it from,
Well, you know,
and now I don't have any problem bringing them before us.
yeah,
Obviously, the regulation is very specific, but what she is citing doesn't have any credibility.
right. I mean,
And I really
I agree
don't
with
want to
you.
discredit the person, but they need to understand that we were acting in accordance with what we can do, and that she
Right.
seriously would need a permit
right,
to proceed even in a small amount.
right. Because she had requested in her email that, you know, we suspend or reverse or, you know, remove the order. So, you know, so besides my editorial comment, I would suggest that we affirm the order, you know, it's been proposed, but then also, you know, set up a hearing or, you know, request her or, you know, to do that and to, you know, and be prepared to, you know, bring this information with her so we can figure out what's going on.
But also, I'd say, you know, encourage, you know, Officer St. Pierre, the environmental police, like, let him take the ball and run with it, and maybe he can seek the advice of somebody at the federal level, so we can figure out.
Well, I have kept Brian involved in the emails
Yeah.
and keep him in the loop, because he did go down the place, he did document it, he did take photos, so he was the initial investigator involved. But once Jim Straub identified it was not a invasive listed mass species, they basically stated it falls into the local jurisdiction in DEP. But Brian is still there to guide and help me if I need. I did ask him to still be available if needed. Now, there was another species that's been discovered in the pond, Alodia. Alodia is a very close resemblance to hydrilla. So what got these people fired up was they thought that was hydrilla. But when I took a finer, closer sample to Jim, he identified it being Alodia, which for the record is an aquarium plant that you can acquire over the counter. It's just an extremely native plant, but it's extremely invasive. So it dominates environments rather quickly. And I have seen what took place in a year on the pond, and I tried to remove some of it manually with a friend of mine, and I just got, it is that bad. I mean, it is, you can take column and then try to lift it out of the water, it's saturated. So she claimed she did not plant this species in general. But given the invasiveness of everything else, I find it a little odd that this plant is supposedly a phosphorus removing plant, which is something that she mentioned in her planned attack, was to remove that nutrient of phosphorus. So given that, I cannot say it was her, and the state agreed with me. So they would just like to know that they did mention a future monitoring program, as Phil mentioned, to see if this did or could cause any harm, and then also hopefully within the next day or so I get a response from Jim on if he's going to further notify them, or I do also agree that we should schedule a hearing for them to be heard, and we can tell them what they need to hear at that meeting.
Right, because right now, she's made the case that everything she's done is lawful, that, you
Yes.
know, everything we've done is not lawful, so I don't have confidence that she wouldn't go out and do this again because she thinks she's in the right. So it seems like we ought to clarify that, you know, what she believes the status of it is and what our authority is, and then, you know, and out of that, see if we actually do have to take a more legal next step.
Okay.
All right, so it's a motion to ratify the enforcement order with that correction that
Motion
Phil
to
mentioned.
ratify with the grammatical
Correction from Phil.
correction, yeah.
All right, do you have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimous, Sam. Do they need to, we sign this, or it's all set the way it is?
It's all set.
Some bills here, we have, South Coast Media, $623.70 for advertising. Looking for a motion?
Motion to pay.
Second?
All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Minutes 6/19/19, they were sent out obviously a couple months ago. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes from June 19th.
Was I there?
Yeah, you were there.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right. What do you have, Chris?
That's it.
Do you have something, sir? Do you want to discuss?
I might have missed it, there was a public hearing for 173A, Cadmus Neck.
Yeah,
That already went, that already proceeded.
just putting a couple decks onto the existing structure and closing in one of the porches and putting a front facade on the front entrance. I mean, that's about it. I got a copy of the plan if you want to see it, but,
I was just curious.
all right. Thank you.
The rest of it was
Educational.
All right, so if nothing else, a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous, Sam. Thank you.